All right, episode 2930, TexAgs Rewind. Why am I talking like a robot? Nick, what was your favorite part of the show today?
Probably Otaro Alaka. Seeing him chat about, where he's gone from A&M to the NFL, now to the XFL, on its second, I guess, startup, whatever you want to call it. I think it'll make it this time around because, one, it doesn't have COVID to shut it down, but two, XFL was entertaining the first time around, so hopefully sticks around. And it's like Olin said in the show, it's a good way for guys like him or players that maybe don't make the cut the first time around to get a second chance and maybe get back to the big leagues.
Wade Phillips, the head coach of the Houston Roughnecks. Love Wade. Dealt with him with the Texans, with the Cowboys as well, and the Oilers, you name it. Wade's been around forever. Bob Stoops, the head coach of the Arlington Renegades. San Antonio's got a team. I have no clue who their head coach is. Somebody can tell me in the comments below. So we had all that on the show. Chris Taylor did a player spotlight. Moose Muhammad, we kind of spotlighted his season as he grew with the team. Aggie basketball, are they going to beat Memphis? Well, we talked to Logan, and he likes the way they played the pass game. They got to keep it up as they take on Memphis on the road on Saturday. And then recruiting country, it should be recruiting/transfer talk because Bronny's all over the place, and we had him give us the latest and greatest here on TexAgs Rewind.
What's your best memory of playing football? And it doesn't necessarily have to be A&M's because we're an A&M show. Maybe it was something that happened with the Ravens. But when you think about everything you've done, what's something that you think about and say, man, I bet that was a great day?
Oh, that's easy. That's easy. It'd easily be my last game that I played in College Station was the LSU game.
Okay.
The 7 overtime game. That was crazy because I remember it was the 4th overtime, and I don't know who I think I'm talking to Tyrell Dotson, and we're just looking at each other, and we're just like spent, like we ain't got nothing left. Like we out there just running around, like just praying that somehow, some way, the offense make a play, something. Like we had nothing left. We out there just empty, and we just kept going back and forth, and like after that game was over, it was just like this is the craziest game I've ever played in my life.
No doubt about that. How about the crazy season the Aggies just had? Rough season, ended nicely. You think they're going to figure it out?
Right. I think so, and I hope so, really, because that was, once I graduated and then you really just become a fan of your college team, it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to watch when things are shaky, but, I'm still going to, watch them, and I think they'll figure it out. They got too much talent and too much good coaching, for them to not figure it out.
So were you like us? Now you said you were kind of like a fan watching it, and we put the reporter hat on, but we had the fan hat on as well. And every time they do the 3-man front, we're like, "Why are you doing a 3-man front?"
See, the 3-man front. I don't know, because in the league, it's been some great defensive historically that had the 3-man front that you couldn't run on them, right? And it's just a matter of I don't know. They got to just fix some things up, just tighten some things up. But the 3-man front, it's not a bad front. Like we've seen teams with a 3-man front that dominated.
I knew you were going to say Moose before I asked you who you wanted the spotlight because he was one of the guys you talked about the most this year. But why Moose?
It just comes from that football pedigree, and when his dad having success in the league, he's grown up around the game. It's just a matter of time before he kind of puts it all together and he starts making those plays. And you saw it manifest finally towards that back half of the season, and he started making plays. And he got his opportunity. Unfortunately, Anias went down. That really kind of gave him, the opportunity. And so it really does feed into that next man up mentality. And he stepped in, and I thought he produced well down the stretch for the Aggies.
Talking to Chris Taylor here on TexAgs Radio, presented by David Gardner's Jewelers. Let's just talk about a talent perspective. We see the highlights, right? We see the one-handed grabs and some of the plays that he makes. But I want to talk about the full package. What does he bring?
I think he brings it. There's that steadiness. I think it brings that calming factor for Connor as he moves forward. He has a guy that he can rely on. He throws it anywhere in his area. Most times he made the catch. I mean, you saw him go up and make a big catch late in the game against LSU. He made the one-handed catch. but a lot of like the catch across the middle where he's running full speed, on the dig route, the ball's a little behind him. He's able to flip his hips, get both hands back, make that catch, and extend the drive. So it's plays like that Connor can, he knows he has a guy that he can rely on. He knows that he has a guy that's going to make plays for him. Give it to him early. He's going to operate in space, and then he adds that measure in the return game. So he's a multifaceted guy that can, not only produce on offense, he's able to help you in special teams, and then he's just a smart guy that it seems to be he's in the right places at the right time, and he's making the plays when his number's called.
Logan, we saw the news about Memphis and Alabama last night. I did not watch the game, but I did read about it, and I know Alabama ended up winning, and that's going to be a problem for A&M later on. But right now, the next problem is Memphis, a team that can bring it, man. Your thoughts heading into that one? I know we'll do a lot more of it tomorrow when you're here in studio, but just little thoughts about how Memphis played Bama and what it means for A&M.
You don't want to see anybody in the conference lose a non-conference game because it just hurts you down the road. But for them to play Bama, a top 5 team in the country, to a 3-point game on the road, that's tough. I mean, that's really tough. I mean, I haven't watched a full game that Alabama has played, but I've watched a handful of minutes here and there of their games, and they're a good basketball team. They have athletes. They get up and down the court. They score the ball. They play defense. And for Memphis to lose, I believe the score was 91-88. It might have been somewhere around there. It was a 3-point loss. Memphis is a good basketball team, and when they're in FedEx Arena, and when they have 10,000 plus, 15,000 plus fans, it's an NBA arena. That is a atmosphere that this team has not been in. This A&M team has not been in. They haven't played in yet. And for Memphis to come off a loss, a close loss that they could have won, they're going to have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to be playing with an edge. They're going to be playing at home in front of their crowd. It's going to be a tough game for the Aggies. And here's the thing about it. I believe that A&M at this point has kind of played to the level of their competition outside of the Myrtle Beach tournament where they lost bad and then they won big. I think they've played to the level of their competition, and that's not a great thing. That's not what you want your team to do. But in the beginning of the year, you can see that happening. They will step up. They'll be ready for it. It's just how are they going to react when they get hit in the mouth and when the crowd gets going in FedEx Arena or FedEx Forum, whatever it's called. That's where I have a little bit of concern. They haven't showed great adjustments. They haven't showed that they can do in-game adjustments consistently. And so that's going to be the biggest part to A&M having success against Memphis on the road is can they adjust to whatever the situation happens at Memphis. We'll see. They have the pieces to win. It's just can they put them together.
You've seen most of the scheduling happen for this coming weekend, and we'll put out our visitor list tomorrow. I will say, break a little bit of news on the radio. Transfer portal linebacker Mason Cobb is expected to start his official visit to A&M tomorrow, and it'll run through Saturday.
Oh, wow.
So you get 48 hours on these official visits. For his scheduling purposes, it was easier for him to come in tomorrow on Thursday, and then he will leave on Saturday. And I would bet because of the high volume of commitments and prospects that are coming onto campus this weekend, I would bet that the A&M recruiting staff was like, okay, yeah, we'll take a guy to come in early. We can show him a lot of attention by himself, and it also helps us with the crowded weekend be a little less crowded coming, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So I'm looking for him to be on campus in the next couple of days. I think A&M's got a great shot at him. It's obviously a huge position of need on the roster. And this is a kid that had over 80 tackles for Oklahoma State. Was it last year or total? But he's had really productive. He started all 12 games last year, and I believe was second team All Big 12 at linebacker. And a chance for if he comes to A&M, you're selling like, dude, you're coming here and you're going to play a lot. Like, look at the linebacker room as it stands currently. So I think that's what a lot of these kids that are going into the portal are looking for, are opportunities to play in a Power 5 league and get a lot of repetitions and continue their career onto the NFL. And I think that's the pathway that a lot of them are looking for. Like, where can I go, get on the field, prove myself, and so in a year or two I can move on to the NFL. And Mason Cobb would certainly have that opportunity at A&M.
Are there other linebackers in their crosshairs?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of high school guys. You're talking about Anthony Hill's not going anywhere with that one, and A&M's fighting tooth and nail every day in that recruitment. Jason has provided a lot of updates on the site. A&M probably playing from behind right now with a week to go. So they really got to kick it into high gear if they want to flip the narrative there, because right now the industry expectation is that he signs with the University of Texas next week. But that's not done and dusted. I mean, the door's still open. And it's cracked open more than it was, obviously, the day he decommitted. So you've been able to kind of wedge your way back in there. But to sling the thing fully open and walk through the door is going to take a lot more work this week. From there, at the high school ranks, you're looking at Hayden Moore as a linebacker out of Parker, Colorado, who's committed to Nebraska. Potentially, maybe visiting this weekend. I don't know if that's for sure. I felt better about that last week. And, you know, again, these kids are getting pulled all different directions. He's been committed to Nebraska. They got a new staff there. I'm sure that Matt Rule is doing everything he can to get that kid to come visit Lincoln instead of College Station.
Well, how about this? Somebody with, I don't think, I might be wrong here, no ties to San Antonio is the San Antonio XFL head coach, Hines Ward. Did that catch you off guard?
Yeah. Yeah.
So if I remember correctly, I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure about a year or two ago, the Texans interviewed Hines Ward for a head coaching job, I believe. And it was like, people were like, what? So now we know he's trying to be a head
might have
coach.
a better gig in the XFL than with the Texans.
Better organization, I'll tell you that. All right, like, comment, subscribe. You know the drill. Share it with your friends. Talk to you guys next time.